Become bored with watching actors give us phony emotions.
Well, I'll say this for her. She got him out of the kitchen.
You're crazy, you know that.
Doesn't mean that someone couldn't break out.
Are you coming for a drink?
No, I can't.
Recently, there's been this meme that's been going around of cake. In this meme, it's all about how people are worried that things are made of cake. Everyday things are made of cake. And the joke has continued to the point of we can't trust anything because we're not sure what anything is anymore. We're not sure what's real anymore. We are now questioning our reality.
We now live in a post-cake reality.
Each generation, especially since the birth of pop culture, has had their portraits of their fears of reality, their fears of how the world really works. We see this in a lot of anti-authoritarian cinema from the 1960s and 70s. The science fiction of the 1950s portrays a paranoia. The 80s has a sort of sarcastic yet detached portrayal, commenting probably on the Reagan and Thatcher administrations of the time. In the 90s, there's quite a few films about questioning reality. You had films like Dark City and The Matrix, obviously, and of course here, The Truman Show. The current generation's portrayal of similar fears is about cake. I feel like The Truman Show presents an idealized form of the 20th century. It's almost like a parallel universe where the 20th century went one way. I think this says a lot about how the 20th century is perceived. It's perceived as a century where there was a lot of chaos, a lot of destruction, a lot of big social changes, a lot of wars, a lot of violence. The eponymous Truman of The Truman Show, Truman Burbank, according to what I googled anyway, was born on January 30th, 1966. The first episode of Star Trek was broadcast in 1966. Simon and Garfunkel released The Sounds of Silence. The Cultural Revolution in China happened, as well as the formation of the Black Panther Party in the USA. Not to mention the very important births of David Schwimmer, Adam Sandler, and Mike Tyson. The idealism that was there in post-war America and Europe being continued and projected onto the second half of the century. During Truman's prom, they used the track 20th Century Boy by T-Rex. However, what is playing instead is a rockabilly version of T-Rex's song. This is kind of proof that it's the 20th century in the second half of the century, but projected through this filter of the 1950s. It's almost taking the idea of Happy Days, the portrayal of the 50s from the 70s point of view, and running with it for the entirety of the 20th century. This portrayal of America is one filled with gaudy advertising, well-paying jobs of uniform suburbia. We do see that Truman has black neighbors. They live across the street from him. However, they are the only black characters that I can recall in the entirety of the film. They're the only black characters in Sea Haven, and the only ones that have dialogue. I do wonder, is that a satire of the tokenism of America along with the whitewashing of American history? Or is that accidentally commenting on the casting? One of the most powerful forms of media and one of the most powerful forms of propaganda is the advert. And the Truman Show really, 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 really leans in to its use of adverts forced into the narrative. It's really beautiful. I really love it. Like nowadays it's a really obvious over the top joke. Like adverts now make fun of how fake they are often, and that's kind of seen like as a cool postmodern thing now. But at the time, I can imagine maybe it being more surreal and strange to see the breaking of the fourth wall. Everything breaks the fourth wall now. The highest grossing films in history, the Avengers movies, are essentially a series of inside jokes and nudge nudge, wink wink, look what we did there. You saw the other ones, right? Because it's okay, excellent, great. However, one thing that is amazingly prescient is adverts reacting to Truman. At the time, it's seen as this weird, amazing satire, as proof that, oh no, Truman's paranoia is true. They're listening to you. It's mocking the idea of, I think it was the dream of the advertising world in the 90s if they were able to directly know what you were thinking, what you were interested in, literally go into your world, take what you were doing at the time, listen to what you were saying, and just project that into their adverts. Obviously nowadays, our devices literally listen to everything that we do.
Something's wrong. Change frequencies.
Ouch. Sorry about that, folks. I guess we picked up a police frequency or something. It sometimes happens, and it can drive you crazy.
The websites we use and the apps that we use collect all of our data and feed that back into the system, and the adverts literally do play to our whims. They project to us directly. They speak to you as a person. I think it's becoming a strange normal place. It's just a very normal thing now that our phones collect our data, our apps and our computers collect our data, and they just, they tell us what we want, or it suggests things based on what you're saying. All of, if not all of the cars that the main characters drive are all Fords. The world of advertising is almost like this strange parallel universe. Like, they have all the stuff that we have, but everyone owns a Sony television, or everyone drives a Ford car, or everyone drinks Pepsi. And then if you want to take this idea of Sea Haven almost being like this perfect postcard picture portrait of how advertisers would want the world to be, there's a lot of imagery in it that is very, very fake. Spoiler, it is revealed that obviously they live in a giant studio, thus they can control the weather, they can control when it's day, when it's night. So you get a lot of beautiful vistas, perfect for television. Characters will be sat and they'll be looking at the moon, and the moon is perfectly round and perfectly giant, and you can see it all very clearly. This is the only reality that Truman knows. He knows no different. So that's what a lot of the crux of the film works on. The fact that things look very strange to us, but to Truman, this is normal. This is how the world is. It even goes down to the point of everyone buys the same magazines in this universe. No one has, it's not a variety of tastes, it's a monopoly. And it doesn't matter anyway. This is the real world. Why would you want anything more? This is what we're offering you. Part of me does wonder, they are actors. I do wonder, do they go home or do they live? Like, do they live in Sea Haven? It's not really commented on. I assume they all live there, because maybe it would be too strange. But I can't be certain, to be honest. A lot of the comedy comes from the idea of what would you call them, the residents of Sea Haven accepting this kind of, they all have to buy into this kind of false narrative together, because if they don't buy into that false narrative, then their lives mean nothing, their careers mean nothing. They're all together on this one big lie that they all accept. It's this idea that you all have to accept this absurd reality. It's almost like it's like a Twilight Zone episode where they all have to they all have to live their lives on the whim of both Truman and Christoph, the god in the sky who runs the show. He runs the television show, and they all have to kind of just change their lives on the whim and just live their life according to whatever the new reality is. There's scenes of people stood like statues waiting for the day to begin. Sometimes it will go immediately from night to day because that's what they wanted to happen at the time. There's kind of this absurdist reality that they all have to just accept and buy into. Particularly, there are narratives that they all have to accept, and that Truman accepts. They force these narratives onto Truman. So there are two really good examples, both relating to Truman's fear of water and his relationship with his missing father.
Truman, you know perfectly well that your father was an only child, just like you.
Oh, Truman. You knew this would happen. You know you can't drive over water. Just go home where you'll feel safe.
So it's this idea of Truman knows no other reality, and his reality is manipulated and changed so that is how the world works. This story that you are being told is true. We as the audience know it's complete bullshit, but Truman knows this to be the truth. He knows it to be the truth because everyone says it's the truth. Everyone acts as if this is the truth, so why wouldn't it be the truth? There are scenes of people trying to tell Truman about his reality, the fact that he's on a television program.
I would like to book a flight.
However, Truman has no idea of the context that his reality exists in. He doesn't know anything outside of the bubble. So everything to him is reality. So when some random strange person comes running up to him as either a child or as an adult and tries to tell him that everything, real life is fake, and that he's actually on a television program, his life as it's been seen through his eyes, there's no proof that that exists. There's no proof that that could possibly be real. The only thing that he knows to be the truth is what he's been told by the people surrounding him. He only knows the culture around him. There's a particular funny joke in that rule breakers are just kind of disappeared. And because Truman is terrified of leaving Sea Haven, for all he knows, he'll never see them again. For all he knows, they're just living a life in Fiji or in Florida, places he's never been to that are lovely. So often the portraits of the outside world are portrayed and manipulated in direct correlation, like how his devices are and how he's always being watched. So they know how to manipulate that. They know how to manipulate the world around him to portray these places as terrifying. Be that through scaring him away from water, ever wanting to go in the water, ever wanting to leave the island. That grows increasingly ridiculous in their ways of manipulating and throwing him off the route that he's going on to finding out the reality of how the world actually is.
It's all true. It's all real. Nothing here is fake. Nothing you see on this show is fake. It's merely controlled.
Thank you very much for watching. I just want to say please like, share, subscribe, spread the word. It would really mean a lot to me. I'm going to keep making these and hopefully there's an audience for them. If there isn't, I'm kind of enjoying making these, so I'll probably keep making them. But if there's an audience, if people want to see this, if people have any ideas of anything in particular they would like to see, please let me know. I'm open to suggestions.